It is such a pleasure to have Sam Sokko, the director of this phenomenal documentary, here with us. Sam, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are not just the director of this film, you are one of the editors and producers. Am I right?
Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
I really love this film, and I hope crowd here on AJB DOC Fest will love it too. And I was wondering, what was the reception for Softie on previous festivals?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for having our film on this festival. And I think it's going to be our um it's our premiere in Bosnia.
Oh, it is going to be a premiere. Oh, great. Well,
In Bosnia, but
oh,
in other in so we premiered originally at Sundance in January 2020, and the reception was amazing and incredible. And we have been in several festivals around the world, and we also premiered at home in Kenya, where again we received the reception again was totally amazing, and we're very happy that the film is still being viewed around the world.
I love story in the first place, and I'm in love with editing, I have to admit. For how long did you film this documentary, and did things get complicated in terms of production when Bonnie's wife moved to America?
Oh my God, yes. So we were filming since 2013 up to 2018, so that's like 5 years, and it became very dicey and very messy and complicated when their life became under threat and the wife had to move to the US. So it needed a lot of readjusting, which was very difficult. But I'm very lucky that we have incredible supporters like the Dog Society, Illuminate, Hot Dogs, who came in and to kind of ensure that we were able to continue filming while the wife was in the US, but also film in Kenya as well.
Yeah, but you managed to finish everything on time and you did a great job.
On time is relative.
Absolutely, precisely, I agree. The scene where Bonnie is shot during the last protest was very scary. And I'm sure it was scary for the whole team that was there.
It was surreal, just primarily because we never really, those are the things you might think about them, you might plan for them, but when they happen, you're not really sure what's happening. And I think the scariest thing was when his wife called me to ask me what was going on and what had happened. And I had to very calmly let her know what had happened and that he was okay. But it was very difficult. It was a very difficult period.
At the same time, we see police officers smiling like nothing happened. It was shocking.
Yeah, and but the thing is, it was based on our experience in filming protests and seeing how police reacted. It was incredible that the instruction had given the DOP at the time who was filming was, if anything happens, because they almost always try to beat up Boniface, and I was like, if anything happens, please try very hard to follow the police officer who's in charge, who's engaging in that act. And I was shocked when I was looking at the footage at how happy she was.
Yeah.
And it tells you how little of the value of life that some of these people who hold power have, and how much little value they put on human life. And I think that was for me just incredibly sad, but I'm happy that we captured that moment so that we could express it to the world and we could ignite or just be part of the conversation of how much value life has and how it is important for us to keep it, retain it, and fight for it.
Yeah. What comes first, country or family? It is very hard question for everyone. And I believe vast majority would say, well, family, of course. But there is one sentence where Bonnie explained why putting country first should be important. And he says, I'm quoting, when you fight for your country, your kids benefit. That means when you fight for your country, you actually fight for a better future for your family. And it seems to me that globally, we tend to forget that fact.
I think it's all of these things are connected. All of these things are it's a chicken and egg situation, in that we cannot ignore fighting for our country with the hope that our families will be okay, and we can't ignore fighting for our families with the hope that the country will be okay. We are tied by a social contract with the governments and in the places, the governances that we have. And I think what Boniface is speaking to, and also what Njeri is speaking to, is there needs to be a collaborative engagement in fighting for these things. And we can't lean on activists alone to have change. We have to stand up by ourselves and in our own right and in our spaces to fight for the things that are important for future generations and for our families as well, as a means of showing that we are fighting for our families. And all of these things are connected, and we just need to keep plowing away, but also encouraging others who are doing incredible work, particularly activists. And we need to be there and stand up for them as well.
And that is why this film is so important for all of us. Unfortunately, Bonnie lost elections. And when I saw all of those pictures of violence and people saying how they want to see a change, and then they had elections and they failed to choose that change, and it was so disappointing. Unfortunately, that is something that actually we witness in the whole world, especially lately. And I want to talk about Kenya. Why that happened in Kenya, and why people just fail to make that balanced revolution in your country?
I think the word necessarily is not fail, but it's looking at, which is something we touch on the film, is like we need to understand the historical context of where all these things are coming from, and why the people are faced with that choice, and why making that choice is not the easiest thing. It feels like it's such a black and white situation, but it's not, because we exist in a very difficult and oppressive situation that has been from the colonialists and perpetuated by subsequent governments. So it's very difficult for people who just want to make it through on a day-to-day basis to have to choose, like, okay, if I follow this person, then perhaps my life would be better, because they've been lied to very, very many times. What Boniface did successfully, I believe, is ignite that question and that conversation, and ignite the belief that it is possible for someone to run a clean campaign. And it's possible to run a campaign based on principles and values, and a manifesto that is practical for what it can do for the people. And I believe in subsequent elections we have an election next year. I believe you're going to have more candidates who will be like that, which before seemed like an impossibility. And the people, we need to constantly be engaging and talking to the people we need to have the faith and the hope that one day they can make that decision that will bring change. And we can't give up on them. So the Kenyan people are coming from a very difficult space, but I think with seeing the work that Boniface did and seeing the progress that he made, if we continue to push and encourage them, then I believe someday at some point something is going to give.
Sam, it was a pleasure talking to you. Good luck with this and all your future projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.